1923, the American Locomotive Company built 10 narrow-gauge 282 Mikados for the Denver and Rio Grande Railroad. Now in 2023, these locomotives are celebrating 100 years of service on both the Rio Grande and the now Durango and Silverton narrow-gauge railroad. Although 7 of these locomotives have been scrapped, 3 still carry on their legacy to this day and are ready to celebrate their centennial. Sit back, relax, and enjoy as we venture to southwestern Colorado to see what events the DNS has put together to celebrate the K-28, 100 years on the Rio Grande. We'll start with the railroad's annual Winter Photographer Special, February 11th and 12th, 2023. K-28 number 476 and its cars have been relettered to D&RGW lettering, and 476 also sports a diamond stack to recreate the Silverton passenger train of the 1970s. This is the same consist used during the Fall Special in October 2022. Under the D&RGW, this train never actually ran during the winter, so this consist made for a never-before-seen moment. Unfortunately, due to financial reasons, I was unable to attend this event. So as a substitution, enjoy these clips of the event from YouTuber and my good friend Arkansas Locomotive Works. It's now late August 2023, and we're back in Durango for another event. This year, the 43rd Annual National Narrow Gauge Convention is being held in Denver. And as part of the convention, the DNS and the Friends of the Cumbres and Toltec, the nonprofit group of the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad, put together some special trains prior to the convention. Durango Special would be a mixed freight and passenger train to Silverton, powered by a K-28. Originally, this trip was only for convention goers, but later the railroad posted it on their website for the public to ride, and the railroad marketed this trip as a 100th anniversary special as well, so I snagged a ticket and got on board. We departed right on time at 7:30 a.m. The consist was K-28 number 473 powering the train, auxiliary water tender 0470, 2 flat cars, a box car, a concession car, 2 coaches, 2 gondolas, and caboose 0540. Although this train isn't marketed as a photo train, 4 photo run-bys were planned during the trip. The first of these is just outside of Rockwood, at the horseshoe curve along the railroad's famous High Line. As we leave, Galloping Goose number 5 catches up to us on its way to Cascade Canyon. From here, it's a straight shot to Silverton. As we arrive into Silverton, we turn on the Y and then back up into town, a move not usually done on the regular trains. Upon arrival, we disembark to grab lunch and get some close-ups of 473. She and her 9 sisters are known as Mikados based on their wheel arrangement of 2 pilot wheels, 8 drive wheels, and 2 trailing wheels. This is what the K in K-28 stands for. The 28 is for the tractive effort of 28,000 pounds. Because many of these locomotives were not delivered in numerical order, 473 was actually the first of the class to enter service. Her first run, and the first for the whole class, was a test train from Salida to Sargents, Colorado on October 2nd, 1923. Because these engines had larger drive wheels than previous locomotives, they were faster, and thus they earned the nickname of sport models. At 12:30, we see the arrival of one of the regular passenger trains into Silverton. A short time later, 2 whistle blasts are heard, and our train begins the journey back south to Durango. At Elk Park, we disembark for another photo run-by. Once the run-by is complete, the train backs up again, and we're treated to a very unique sight as our train has turned into a work train. Here, 473 will uncouple the 2 flat cars loaded with ties and leave them in the Y for later track maintenance, something not usually documented on this part of the railroad.
Big bottle back in.
Our last run-by location is Goblin's Fire at milepost 480.5. We've all heard that one saying, go out with a bang. And for this run-by, we certainly did. Literally. Conductor Nick Botello placed rail torpedoes on the track for 473 to run over. For those that don't know, torpedoes are small explosives used as warning devices to alert train crews of track work or problems ahead of them. We were promised 4 run-bys for today, so we did a second one here at Goblin's Fire. Once our last run-by was done, we headed back to Durango. A great time was had at this event, and while it was a good one, the best had yet to come. Now wasn't that an interesting consist? Today is October 16th, the start of the annual Fall Photographer Special, and this year's is one that absolutely could not be missed. This year's is a two-parter, taking place on 2 separate days, with day 1 being a K-28 mid-train helper, something that hasn't happened on this line since the late 1950s. The consist is locomotive 473, 2 drop-bottom gondolas, 4 flat cars, 2 box cars, locomotive 476, 2 coaches, a concession, 1 more coach, observation car Silver Vista, and caboose 0540. The train left Durango at just after 7 a.m., and we opted to chase it to Rockwood before getting on board. Once on board, the train backs up a short distance to Granite Point for our first photo run-by. Back on board, we leave Rockwood and head towards the High Line and continue north. Our next run-by is at Tacoma. After the run-by, the train backs up and goes into the siding to allow the regular passenger train to pass. Prior to the train's passing, the helper locomotive, DL-535-107, runs the light to Tank Creek before coupling back onto the train. For the rest of the season, only one train a day is running to Silverton, and thus this train is longer than usual, so 2 locomotives are needed to pull the train. Minutes later, K-37 number 493 rolls by with a 15-car consist. Once the passenger train clears, we're on the move again to our next run-by spot at the repeating curves. After the run-by, we continue north and stop at Tank Creek to take on water. Three blasts of the whistle means we're stopping once again for another photo run-by. Cement Wall is an iconic location for, well, the cement wall, but also the large rock face adjacent to the tracks. Goblin's Fire is our next run-by location. The same place as the convention special, only this time it's on our northbound run. At Elk Park, we're put into the siding for the regular train to pass going south. First, we see 107 once again running light. Because the grade back to Durango is mostly downhill, the helper isn't needed, so 493 is fully capable of pulling the train unassisted. Once the train clears, we proceed to Whitehead Gulch. With the sun behind the mountains, this made lighting here much easier compared to last year's fall special. Our final run by for the day is at the timber bridge just south of Silverton. In the background, you can see the supports for the new bridge currently under construction, meaning this will likely be one of the last times this bridge is ever documented. Upon arrival into Silverton, we grab our bags and head for our hotel for the night. Day 1 complete. Day 2, October 17th, finds the trains separated. Today we're running as 2 trains, a freight and a passenger. The 2 engines have also swapped places, so 476 is on the freight today, and 473 is on the passenger train. Our first run by is at the Silverton Depot. We waited briefly for the sun to make its appearance over the mountains before the freight pulled up. Next up was the Colorado Trail. Elk Park were once again put into the siding first for some maintenance of way equipment, and then for the regular train yet again. Today the train had a delay, so we had time to eat lunch, get photos of the engines, do the traditional crew photos, and even get inside the cabs of the locomotives. Due to the Aleutian Islands under threat of a Japanese attack during World War II, 7 of the K-28s were requisitioned by the US Army and sent to the White Pass and Yukon up in Alaska. Unfortunately, they never made it back, as by 1945, all 7 of them were scrapped. But 3 K-28s managed to stay on the Rio Grande, and 2 of them are operating to this day, which we've seen 473 and 476. Number 478 is currently on display inside the Railroad's Roundhouse Museum. Before long, the regular train shows up with 107 and 493 both powering it. The train stops briefly to pick up one of our brakemen who will fill in for the conductor on this train. Once in the clear, we continue south for our next series of run-bys. We stop once again at Goblin's Fire. With clear skies today, we had a much better view of Pigeon and Turret Peaks in the background. Now back on board, our next stop is Tacoma. Arriving at Tacoma, we see the caboose in the siding, Here, the trains would once again be combined as a mid-train helper for our final run-by at the horseshoe curve along the High Line.
Down, and that is the first one. Control A, sync all.
Back in Rockwood, we get off the train. The freight section was uncoupled and both trains ran separately to Durango. We catch up with the freight section just outside Hermosa. The lack of a caboose made this seem like a mainline freight train we would see today. We then wait a little bit to see the passenger train. Unfortunately, this was around the time the gnats decided to show up. Due to there being limited space in the Durango yard, several of the freight cars are set out at Home Ranch Siding, and 476 continues on with only 2 boxcars. Arriving at the Durango depot, we see locomotive 478 sitting outside. For the first time since 2016, this engine is back outside and will participate in a small photo shoot with the other 2 engines. Although not under steam today, her restoration had been officially announced the same day, So soon, all 3 K-28s will be under steam for the first time since 1999. 476 comes around the loop and gets into position next to her sister. Minutes later, 473 arrives back in town and takes her place in line. Truly an amazing sight, and a great way to end the photographer special. Say it with me now. Happy 100th anniversary to the K-28s. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure you like the video and subscribe. Tune in to Glorietta Sub Productions next weekend, where I will be uploading a full unnarrated video of every single run-by during these last 2 days. And be sure you tune in another 2 years, because we'll be celebrating another centennial celebration. Until then, I'll see you next time.